So the title of today's video is going to be called "Patronize Me Please," and this is going to take various topics and kind of mesh them together into one sort of cohesive um, message here. There's the topic of patronization, in general speaking, is supporting someone else and being a patron to them, being supportive of them, uh, donating to their causes, helping them, uh, grow something to some degree, and that's the first thing that I want to that you can do to patronize me specifically would be just by watching this video. And if you do that and thumbs up the video, it helps promote the this video and help it get propagated more typically. But this is how dissidents are going to have to do that. And of course, you can follow all my links in the description. I'll go ahead and get that out of the way, so we can just get to the meat and potatoes of this sort of this video here. Um, but discussing for dissident people who are like on the right, even the libertarian types who want to have some sort of outsized impact. You want to have a more perceived impact than you actually do on a raw scale. You want to be actually make some change happen and and showcase that. You need to have these patronage networks to actually give back to the people, and it needs to be sort of this circular. And if I can get a diagram or whatever, and I can put it up on the screen. But essentially, the cycle, there should be sort of a cycle of the patronage, because if you're, especially particularly with the content creators in the dissident sphere, dissident right, or dissonant ideas there, we need to have these patronage networks, and they all need to work. Of Like, it needs to work fundamentally, as a mutual exchange, and it's not always going to be perfect. Part of the problem, that's the part of the problem with the right, is that a lot of times we're so individualized. The right has become so hyper individual that they cannot think in any form of like, hey, we need to now. They will say that they will perform these actions, these patronage actions. Sometimes they have incredible impact. So, for instance, there's a lot of right wing slash libertarian type people who watch Eric July and Ripaverse, those comics that he's established, and there are people who all of them have individually made the decision to purchase his comics and support his content in that way. The but those are individual actions made like as an effort to pump that up. Now, a lot of people will say like, oh well, they just got together and they all bought the books. Now, some of that is somewhat true, because there is some sort of like a meshing process of trying to like synthesize people, like trying to get people to some like synchronization, I guess, more of what it like people are getting synchronized of like, okay, we support Eric July. Eric July supports sort of the comic skate stuff. So those are sort of mainly just him and Ethan Van Sciver are like supporting each other. Like Ethan Van Sciver promotes Young Ripa books, and then Young Ripa supports uh, um, Eric July supports Ethan Van Sciver's books, and that's sort of that mutual exchange. But that doesn't necessarily translate to all of people who identify as sort of comicsgate. Their books don't all sell well. It's very much this is the part of the problem with right wing spheres, and then this isn't to say that, hey, we should spread the wealth or whatever. That's not what this is intended to do. Obviously, those who have the skill and capability can develop something that's the the best of the best, they should obviously have sort of the top of the charts on when it comes to that. But you'll see that there are a lot of people who only support Young Ripley's comics or only support Ethan Van Sciver's comics, or and if you don't support like the entirety of, I mean, I know it's difficult to do, and a lot of the people supporting them only have enough funding available to buy one book or something like that. But when you have this sort of when you want to establish this, and you need to have something grounded and something based that can sort of build a cohesive um, framework for everybody to follow. Like, hey, we're gonna support all the Comicsgate people, and that doesn't mean that you have to buy. Like, obviously, okay, Eric July's books are $35, so you can buy one of the basic Eric July books, and then maybe there's someone else who's selling their book for a lot less because they expect a lot less. They don't expect to do to their comic to do well, but they consider themselves part of the network, so to speak, and they also want to be patronized as well. Similar to me, and there were some other content creators. I was recently on the Shagsworth show, and I will occasionally watch his streams. I can't always watch every single thing that he does. That's nigh on impossible for me. But if I see that he's on some show or something like that, sometimes I'll pop in and I'll watch where I can, or just leave it on in the background. I can't always provide comments and things of that sort, but I typically try to support uh, uh, those who support me. Typically, I try to give back and support their content as well. That whether through just watching, sometimes donating, occasionally, um, but that's how I think that you have to establish this, and this has to be something that the sort of the right sphere has to, in particular, has to get away from. Like, you have to get away from this sort of individual, like, I mean, it's not to say that you're going to become a collectivist or whatever. Like, you can keep the idea of individual merit. Like, maintain your idea of individual merit. I'm going to support things the most that are the quote unquote best, right? The obviously merit would matter, but when you're establishing that, and that's why it's so hard for the right to deal with these things, because the left is willing to pay. You can joke about the fact that, like, okay, they don't buy, lefties don't buy left wing comics. Yeah, that's true. But there's other things that they do. They do all these other support, and the companies are giving these people money to write these books. So there's a lot of other ways, sort of, that this is affecting their pockets. Like, they're still getting funding, whether you think that they are or not. Like, you might go, haha, uh, you know, blah blah. You don't believe that they're actually buying the left. Lefty people don't buy the lefty comics. There's sort of that meme, like, go woke, go broke kind of thing. But overall, they get funding. They get funding elsewhere. Either, I mean, they somehow, either through their employment, or their supporting other people through their employment, or other, they find other ways, whether it's just supporting that specific product, or maybe they don't support that product, they support something else. Because think about it this way, okay, people aren't buying Marvel comics, right? But how many people are buying a lot of Marvel merchandise, that are lefties? Of course, they're buying a lot of Marvel merchandise. But they don't want to buy the books, because that would require reading, and that would require storing these books, and they don't really want the books themselves. They don't want to read the comic books. So what they'll do is they'll buy another. So if they'll buy the Miles Morales T-shirt, and they'll buy the Miss Marvel T-shirt. They'll buy whatever else, whatever other trendy character that's kind of against the the sort of right wingers, like the ones that are anti right wing, whatever kind of characters that are being pushed at the time, and that's what they'll gravitate toward. They'll buy a T-shirt, they'll buy this, they'll do that. So it's not that they don't support the company. It's not that they don't support things. It's just that they don't always do it in the way that is a direct impact, and that's where I think it confuses the right wing because they think that there is just one way to support. Like, oh, like say what this you think, oh, there's only one way to support watching his videos because he doesn't have a join button on the channel. He doesn't have the like he doesn't have all this other flashy stuff on his YouTube channel. He doesn't have sponsors, so I can't support the sponsors, right? Those are sort of things that like a lot of the right wingers just kind of like latch onto, like, oh, you don't have a join button, you don't have this, so only way I can support you is through viewing. But if you look down there in the links in the description, I have some a page that I haven't updated in forever because no one patronizes me, and I'm not necessarily like I'm not expecting from this video to have any new subscribe star people or whatever. But I'm just saying there aren't any people who patronize me. Nobody pays me to do this. All of this is done on my own volition. But I do like to be a talking head, and I do like to discuss these ideas. So I would never like necessarily turn that down if you were to offer to do that. But I'm just saying people, even the people who watch this content, like they don't want to do any extra research or do like, hey, what is he doing? What is he working on? Is there any check out his Substack and what read that tributedaniels.substack.com. But that's you can they don't want to go look at that. They don't want to go do this, do that, do all these other things, even if they're tangential to monetary, uh, monetary support, sharing, retweeting, liking tweets. A lot of those things kind of pump up the likes and retweets. Like I don't get that many likes on my tweets. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. That's not me begging for likes here on Twitter, but I'm just saying I tweet relatively often compared to the average person. I mean, well, maybe not the average Twitter user, but in general speaking, I tweet semi regularly, and a lot of the people, even people that I admire, that I think are generally good people and very um very that I get along with. I guess I would say people that I get along with on Twitter that I think are good people. They don't like my tweets for whatever reason, and they can have their own disagreements, and they can not like my tweets and all this kind of stuff. But a good patronage network. This is bringing this all back around. A good patronage network is going to patronize each other, no matter what. It's sort of this, hey, I scratch my back, I scratch your back, and you scratch mine kind of thing, where you're supportive of all of each other, and that's how like the bread tubers and all these kind of people they gain status. This is how people like Mr. Beast get their start, because what they do is they say, hey, all of you in my high school, let's all of you get on, like, and I'm sure this is probably something that Mr. Beast actually implemented to get his channel to the point of where it is. So he would say, hey, I've got this brand new video, please I'm going to get everyone, get out your phone, I'm going to send you the link to this video, you all watch it, and then that will promote it in the algorithm, and then from that promotion in the algorithm, then my channel will grow, and then I plan on supporting all my friends, and that's how this sort of circle of life goes. As soon as and it's not fake patronage, because that's what a lot of the right does. The right does fake patronage. Oh, well, I'll make a new company that supports you, but it doesn't actually support you. It doesn't do anything for you. All it does is siphon money away from, quote unquote, the left, and then it basically will end up doing the same thing that the left does anyway, or it just succumbs to whatever pressure or the company dies because it's not making as much as the left, because they don't want to keep funding it even at a loss, because the whole point of it was for it to take off and generate a lot of revenue. So if they're not insanely profitable with their product, then they're just going to kill it, as soon as they can. So that's sort of the right wing mindset. Like, okay, well, it's not super upo mega profitable, and I'm not making mega millions. I'm not making freaking Logan Paul and Jake Paul money, so it doesn't matter. Like, if it's not making that, I mean, it's not, if I'm not making Elon Musk, probably Elon Musk money is what the like a lot of like the more upper echelons. For me, it'd be like if I'm making, if it's not making, for people in our sort of like middle ground. Yeah, it's like if you're not making Jake Paul and Logan Paul types of money, then it's not worth it to a lot of these people, and they'll just kill it. Uh, for instance, Jeremy the Quartering, he had a news site dedicated to unbiased gaming journalism, and because I knew that this would be a failure just because it was a website. The website isn't going to be popular. What you need to, like, these website, like starting a new website to compete with Kotaku is counterintuitive and counterproductive, because you shouldn't start a website to compete with them. You should start a new YouTube channel that competes with them, because there are plenty of great YouTubers, and even especially if you ask some of these guys who are really talented, like Skill Up, a lot of these people who are talented in gaming, if he had just started a YouTube channel and asked them to do reviews and do these sort of video content, that would have been much more return on value and also return on impact. Because having a different, I know having a formal website is nice, but I think having that video format is a lot better comparatively to for a lot of modern audiences. And that's what gamers typically go to. I'm gonna go watch a video review, because if I read the review, I don't get much out of it a lot of times. I don't get to see part of the gameplay. I don't get to hear someone kind of discussing specific mechanics that they find troublesome, or sometimes like the hooks that are actually really good, the way that those things function. But that's that's sort of where the patronage has to come in. Like, you have to establish these patronage networks. You need to patronize each other. You need to have sort of this circular function of the patronage, and it doesn't need to be a one-way street of like this is why a lot of the right-wing content creators, they may get really big. Like, you may have an Eric July, and he may be a great guy, but he's so hyper individualistic that I mean, and maybe he promotes like Ethan Skyver, but is he promoting Joe Blow, who has 5 subscribers? Like, is he doing that? No, I mean, and that's not to say that he has to. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But a proper patronage network would do this kind of thing. Like, okay, I have 1 million subscribers, and then I'm going to shout out you. I'm going to promote you. You're part of the patronage network. You're going to get part of my subscribers as well. They're going to also be part of your channel, and then that's the patronage network that we've kind of established. Now I supported you, and then now what I expect of you is that then from your now on in your videos, you're also going to feed back into me, because you might get viewers that are different from mine as well. So I want this to sort of be a synchronization of, hey, you get a new audience and then you funnel them to me, or I get a new audience and I funnel them to you, and we just kind of piggyback, and this kind of works circular in this nature. So say like, hey, here's 10 YouTubers you should watch, and then these are the guys that are all part of your patronage network. And some of the YouTubers used to do this kind of stuff. I mean, even someone as big as PewDiePie used to be like, hey, here's 10 YouTubers I would watch. But then once they get so big and they get criticized for this kind of stuff, then it's hard for them to do that and patronize the people that they find informative and interesting. But establishing this sort of patronage and doing these kind of things is vital and important, especially to sort of these dissident movements, things of that sort. But I think that this is how you should handle it. You should support the other people's content, and get them to also support your content as well. And you can't make people do that, but I mean, I would think being kind, and being there and being present, and supporting them should make them loyal to you, and there should be that sort of loyalty of, I'm loyal to this other creator. They're gonna shout me out, or they're gonna support me, and then I'm gonna support them back, and that's sort of the loyalty, part of that network that's been established. So that's all I have for this video. I hope you got something out of it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Um, if you want to patronize me, it's in the links in the description. There's all kinds of stuff, information there. So I would appreciate it, obviously. But just consider these ideas when going forward, and try to make sure that you patronize the other people, and hopefully they return the favor. So that's all I have for this video. And this is Trey from Trey's Think Tank. Signing out.